Good evening. Fake news is an epidemic that plagues American media today. This is evident across many mainstream media platforms. It is a safe bet to say that the majority of mainstream media outlets are aligned with the left and present their information with a liberal spin to it. These outlets promote their agenda with fake news. They spread a lot of misinformation, and that's definitely not a good thing. Take CNN, for example. You can't even mention fake news when you're on their show. A couple of days ago on CNN, an anchor cut off a CNN contributor after he labeled a story as being fake news, and it was. It's ridiculous, and you see it so much, it's just crazy. You wouldn't be wrong in saying that the mainstream media is aligned with liberals and that they keep pushing their leftist agenda, an anti Trump sentiment. They take non issues and make them issues, or they focus their main stories on nonsense instead of real issues such as national security and the economy. Mainstream media doesn't talk about the whole story, they only mention what suits them. And they certainly don't treat President Trump the same way that they treated President Obama. Let me give you an example. In 2009, at a press conference, President Obama called on New York Times reporter Jeff Zeleny. He asked, and I quote, "During these first 100 days, what has surprised you most about this office? Enchanted you most from serving in this office? Humbled you the most? And troubled you the most? Come on, what is this?" Now, I'm not talking about all reporters, but seriously, imagine a mainstream media asking Donald Trump a question like that. Forget about it because it's not going to happen. I'm joined by Antonio Castillo. Antonio, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, George?
I'm pretty good today. So, I'd like to hear your stance on fake news and the mainstream media's anti-Trump bias.
I think it's a complete failure of our country that our main source of media, the news, is half of it's fake every day on television, on the internet, on our social medias. Half of it's fake. It's sometimes they clickbait, sometimes they just flat out lie to make someone look like a bad person, such as Steve Bannon and Donald Trump.
Now, the media is infected with biased stories that align with their views, cover up truths, or even refuse to show other opinions, especially conservative stances. What does this do for the American people?
Well, it just changes their opinions. Some people might think they see the conservatives as bad people because news channels like make out flat out lies about them, calling them fascists, calling them a bunch of things, and it's not good.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what happens. The media also flat out lies, as Antonio said. Some of their stories are purely political and have no facts to support them. Remember the Recount 2016 movement? The Democrats were at a loss for words when they lost the presidential election. To lift the blame off of themselves, they blamed the loss on election hacking in three key swing states that Donald Trump won. This story ended up going viral. Liberals tried to delegitimize Donald Trump's election win, and since they lost, they made claims that didn't have any evidence. They lacked all evidence or proof to support them. That didn't work for them, so they got angry at the Electoral College, which has been around for more than 200 years. Any comments on that?
Well, it's just complete garbage. Again, they just make Donald Trump look like a bad person when they should really put more evidence into it and not let people who write these things that are pro Democrat, pro left, all left, or pro liberal. So you let people that are should be qualified. There should be more tests, stuff like that, to stop fake news from ever happening.
I think that if the Electoral College was a real issue to them, they should have brought it up before the election, not after they lost. They already tried to recount, didn't work, so now they want to blame the Electoral College. That's total nonsense. College campuses are full of liberal professors that lecture their students with leftist ideas. This happens all the time. But then when a college professor says something conservative, he gets shut down by the college immediately. When a right wing speaker comes to a college campus, the students get outraged and hold violent protests. These tolerant liberals aren't so tolerant when the speaker doesn't agree with them. All those snowflakes seem to be melting when they hear an opposing opinion. Antonio, what do you have to say about this?
That all-right speaker, was named Milo Yiannopoulos. In in his speech in UC Berkeley, there were people throwing that were armed with bats, steel rods, fireworks, and Molotov cocktails, breaking windows, causing mass destruction on private property. And he wasn't there to see this. He was still 2 hours away. Imagine if he came there, he would have been at least maybe even killed in those riots.
Yeah, those are a bad thing. Protests are one thing, but violent protests are another thing. Fake news is detrimental to the American people. Mainstream media keeps spreading their agenda. All they do is ignore the facts. So I'd like to thank Antonio for joining me in the show. Thank you for watching George's Daily Show. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe and tune in for more to come in the future. Thank you, and remember, America first.